Welcome to the Pod Abroad. Welcome to the Pod Abroad. Howdy und Servus, and welcome to the Pod Abroad with Paulina de los Santos. Hey everyone, welcome to the Pod Abroad's first episode. My name is Paulina de los Santos, and I am an American from Texas who has lived in Germany the last 8.5 years. I originally came in 2016 and I never left. So this podcast will be about living life abroad, sharing stories. I have a lot of different international friends that I'm super privileged to have, and they come from all over the world. And I think life living in Germany has just been full of so many different perspectives. And essentially, I just wanted to bottle it up, my experience of like having these incredible friends, hearing their stories, having these shared experiences, kind of wanted to bottle that up and give it to you. So I'm super excited to be able to speak with them on this show. So you can expect stories, shared experiences, just like in our point of view of things that we've gone through over the years of life in Germany or beyond. Cultures, a lot of different cultural differences, culture in Germany, culture from our home countries, and how that blends and everything in between. So a little bit about who am I? I am Paulina. Like I said, I'm originally from Texas in the US, was born and raised. I come from a small town called Weslaco, Texas. So shout out Weslaco 956. It's been a journey. So a little bit about my hometown. It is a small town of about 40,000 people, or at least that's what it was when I left in 2013. It is a border town near Mexico, like 10 to 15 minutes or less from the border. We call it Las Flores, Nuevo Progreso. And it was a beautiful life getting to grow up there. It's a very challenging place. It's a very beautiful place. There's a lot of dynamics there that are very different from different parts of the state of Texas. I've met some people from Texas the last few years living here in Munich, where I'm based, who have never even been to South Texas. But what I will say is that I didn't appreciate it nearly as much when I was there until leaving. So I was actually born in Houston, raised there, moved to Weslaco when I was 10 years old, and then lived like a lot of the formative years there with my grandmother, my mom, my two brothers, and all under one household, multi-generational living. After I graduated there in 2013 from Weslaco High School, I went on to study at Texas A&M University in College Station, which was just, I mean, for anyone who like has ever heard of A&M, like it's just like what you'd expect. It is a cult. American universities are crazy, like, oh my gosh. But this one in particular, like Texas A&M, I loved it so much. My university experience, it was crazy. But when I look back on it, I'm just like, damn, that really was a cult. We have a lot of traditions. I think there's a saying at a university, like from the inside looking out, you can't no, from the outside looking in, you don't understand it. From the inside looking out, you can't explain it. And that's what cults say. So that was my university experience in a nutshell. I feel like I could talk all about that, like in a whole dedicated episode, and like all the differences between university in Texas in particular and my university experience here in Munich in Germany. So in 2016, I chose to move from Texas. I was living in San Antonio at the time, and I moved from Texas to Munich. Actually, that's false. I moved to a small neighboring town of Munich called Freising. It's just kind of like people who are from Houston and they're like, or no, are from like Sugar Land or Missouri City, and they're like, oh, but I'm from Houston. Like, no, it's a little outside. So I lived in Freising for 2 years. And that was a whole experience as well. I came for a master's in sustainable resource management at the Technical University of Munich, which they pride themselves in being like the MIT of Germany. That's what they say, not me. And I'm very grateful for that experience. I moved because in 2016, at the time, at TUM, which is short for Technical University of Munich, at TUM, the tuition for international students was free. So for me, it was a no-brainer to move to Germany. I was just like, okay, I had to take out student loans at A&M, and just to have the opportunity to study and not acquire more debt just felt like a dream. And living abroad and experiencing a new culture, living outside of my home state for the first time in my life just felt like, yeah, a whole new opportunity. I was 21 years old when I moved. I am now 29. And I had never been to Germany a day in my life until I stepped foot here for a 2-year commitment, which has now turned into almost 9. So it's crazy how life works out, honestly. When I first moved here, I had no intentions like to leave the US like as long as I've been gone. But I feel like, I mean, for very obvious reasons, it will be explored like throughout this podcast. I very quickly realized like how much I love life living in Germany, through the ups and downs. And there's a lot of downs too, being an immigrant in this country, and leaving like your loved ones, like your close friends and your family members. But for me, all of the positives kind of outweighed the negatives. And it's still like a choice that I make today, to stay here and to enjoy the quality of life. So when I graduated in 2019, it took me 3 years to graduate with a master's. I ended up finding a job, and it just felt right. I told myself at the time, like, you can move back to the US when the time feels right. And that was in 2019, right? Like pre-pandemic fall. And I'm just so happy that I took a job opportunity and I kind of dove right in and like chose to stay, because I just remember like my heart at the time, like I did not want to go back. I felt like my journey here wasn't done yet. That 3 years was too short, and I was like ready to explore life, like not as a broke college student, having a full-time job, and getting to go on vacations and kind of living out the childhood that I think I wish I had, which is a silly comment, but I think it's really special that here in Germany, going on vacations, like having paid vacations, like 30 days, I think the minimum is 22 days a year. What's very common in corporate is like 28 to 30 days. But I think getting to experience that, like having these paid vacation days, being able to travel and experience other cultures has also been like incredibly enriching. I start to think of that cheesy quote saying like travel is the only thing that you spend money on that makes you richer, and I couldn't agree anymore. So a little bit about initial impressions. Like I said, I had never stepped foot a day in this country before coming. Completely walked in like 100% ignorant. I didn't even have a visa at the time, like because at the time as an American, because of my nationality, I could enter the country and then apply for a student visa within the first 3 months of being here. I just remember day one being wild, going on the public transport. We don't have trains or subways or trams where I'm from in Texas. So everything was new. A bit scary, but exciting. I didn't know anyone. I knew one person, Kunal, shout out to him, that I had met, but he's also an immigrant. So like I didn't know any Germans. But it was just, yeah, it was just something where everything was new. And I look back at that, Paulina, and I'm like, wow, like you were brave to just come to this country like where I didn't have a friend. I wasn't coming for a man. Um, I didn't know anyone in this program, and yet I felt like I had all the opportunity like waiting for me. I just remember being like so incredibly excited, and I was just ready to get out of Texas. I had this like yearning um since like high school to go live in another state or study abroad, and I wasn't able to go to university in another state because of out of state tuition being incredibly expensive. For those who don't know, in the United States, if you choose to go to another university that's not in your home state where you pay taxes, and it's a public one, like you are oftentimes going to be spending like sometimes like double the amount of tuition as someone who is from that state. So therefore, studying out of state for an average person who doesn't have like sports scholarships or something like that is oftentimes then a bit discouraging financially. Nevertheless, I very much enjoyed my undergrad experience in Texas. So going back, it's like my first week in Germany. Everything's new. People are yelling at me for walking in the bike lane. Like I learned really, really fast. Okay, get out of the bike lane. Like I wasn't even used to walking. Like my whole life in Texas, we drive from point A to point B. I didn't grow up riding a bike at all. And if I mean, yeah, I guess I had a bike probably when I was a kid, but like you just ride it for funsies, like around in your neighborhood, not for an actual purpose, like getting groceries or anything like that. So all these concepts were just very different, very, very different for me. But I was open to learning about the culture and to embrace it because I knew that this would be like my reality for the 2 years that I was supposed to be here. I just remember being so ignorant that on day one, I was like, what is Strabe? What is a sign saying Strabe everywhere? Little did I know, actually, it was not a B. It's Straße in German, which means street. And the letter that looked like a B to me is actually like a double S. Straße in German. Just funny little things that I'm looking back now and I'm like, how did like I not go a single day on Duolingo prior to like stepping foot in this country? That is kind of wild. And German people are like not that forgiving. No. Let me take a step back. Munich people are not that forgiving. I think I'm gonna be like crucified from like the kind Germans being like, we're nice actually. Like it's just Munich, and you're right. Like you're absolutely right. Munich is a tough crowd when you do not speak German. So what else do I remember? Like going to Aldi, out of all places, like going to Aldi and I remember like not packing my bags because in the US we have, or at least in Texas, we have people packing your groceries. And I just remember like standing there and like everyone being pissed off at me. So needless to say, there was a lot of learning by experience and by doing, like, or not doing in that case. I think the first several months were like huge learnings. And eventually it got a little like more and more comfortable being one with the German culture. I remember day one of my master's program. So prior to my master's program starting, actually, I came like 1 month before for an intensive German class, which was super fun. Also discouraging because I was like, oh my gosh, this language is insane. Still stand by that statement, but it gets better. But day one of my master's program, it was in Freising, like I said, which is a suburb of Munich, Germany. And I walk in and they had a traditional Weißwurstfrühstück, which for those who don't know, that translates to white sausage breakfast. And it's a tradition here in the state of Bavaria, otherwise known as Bayern in German. And I walk in, it's 9 a.m. And my class, my campus is actually called Weihenstephan. And for those who don't know, Weihenstephan is the world's oldest running brewery for beer. So that was like the campus that my university was on. Like, yes, it did stink at times. Like right outside my dorm, I could smell that like stanky brew. Um, but I digress. First day, 9 a.m., walk in, they have like white sausage and beer, like they had like kegs that they were tapping. And I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like the stereotypes are true. Like Germans do love their beer. At the time, I don't even think like, oof, how sad. Like I don't think I had a beer. So like side note is that I'm vegan, crazy vegan from Texas, and then in Bavaria. And Texas and Bavaria actually have a lot of similarities in that sense of like meat and potatoes and leather pants. But I walk in there like not eating meat and like not liking beer. So like what's a girl to do? But I still enjoyed like the ambiance, and I was like, damn, like this is pretty cool. Like this is what I'm stepping into. And there began my master's program. But it wasn't always, of course, like the easiest. I think I was definitely in the honeymoon phase the first few months. Like I was just like, oh yeah, like life is great. Like US who, like don't know them. And then I mean I moved in October 2016, and then November 2016 was when like who got elected. And then I was really like, oh, like don't know the US, like I'm here now. Still in that honeymoon phase of like, yeah, everything's going great. Like, I mean, like, sure, it's hard, but how hard can it really be? Until like I had like one of the hardest days of like, yeah, my short time living in Germany, and that was like I think like two months in or so. I have an appointment at the KVR in Freising, which is the office for foreigners. And it was my appointment actually to apply for my student visa. And I remember at this point, I had a secondhand bike that I had acquired through someone. I don't even remember how. Someone gave it to me, which was really kind. And I remember leaving my student dorm with plenty of time to get to the appointment. And thank God, because I just remember like I was cycling there. And for those who know me, like I'm not the most confident cyclist. I would say I'm definitely competent, but not confident. I was cycling on my way to my student visa appointment. And on a street in Freising, someone like driving got super close to me and hit me. Literally, like the car side mirror like hit the shit out of my elbow. I slam into the fence like next to me so hard that my tire literally bends in half, and I somehow like managed to stay on the bike but just like hit my knee pretty bad. All in like one quick like action. Like it literally happened so fast I didn't know what had happened really until I see the car just like speed off. And in that moment, I literally just felt so incredibly alone. I think that was like when I really like a physical smack of reality of like, girl, what are you doing here? I literally thought to myself like, what the fuck am I doing in this country? Like, I have no family. Like, I have like no super close friends. Then like I was still getting to know people. I just felt all alone. I just remember being like, what? Like, I don't even know why I'm in this country. And like my bike was fucked. And I remember just like I think I like left it there and I walked the rest of the way to the appointment, which like took like a whole like almost hour. Thank God I had left with like a stupid amount of time prior to the appointment. So I get there. And I remember like the guy had asked me like for my index fingers because they were taking print, and I gave him like my thumbs, and he looked at me like, are you dumb? And I was like, my hands were literally shaking after like being hit. It was just really, really hard. But like in the back of my head, of course, like I knew I had a mission. I was like, I have to make this appointment. I need to get this visa. Like, I'm not going to get another appointment if I don't show up. Like, I don't want to be sent back like to a nation in political distress. So made my way there, got through the appointment. everything kind of went okay appointment wise. I mean, the guy was not happy with me and like showed me attitude. One thing like that you should know about moving to Munich or the surroundings is that like for whatever reason, like the people who literally like hate their jobs the most, like they're all employed at the foreigner's office. And they will take their anger out on you. Like 10 out of 10 times I've had like pretty intense situations where like I mean like and not just like not being friendly but like also like aggressiveness. So that's a side note. So got over that, like walked out of the office, and I remember I was super super hungry at this point. I look across the street and there is a small like Thai restaurant. And I go in the front, like I walk towards it and I see a sign saying like, sorry, we're closed. And I so happened to be there like during a little pause in between, like, I guess, lunch and dinner. And I look up and there was like a sweet older lady, like a Thai lady saying like, come, come. And I was like, oh, really? Like, okay. So I go inside and she lets me be the only person in that restaurant. I order a curry, which was like incredibly delicious. And I just remember like sitting there crying, like my eyes out alone. It was a hard day when I'm like looking back at it. Oh, I feel sorry for myself. No, but she's grown so much from that day. I was just like crying my eyes out, eating my curry. And then after I finish it, like she like left me in peace, super sweet. When I finished it, she brought me like a whole little bowl of fruit that I hadn't even ordered. And like, oh my gosh, like my faith in humanity like was restored after like someone had driven off after hitting me on my bike, and I just felt so alone. I just felt like that was like a sign from the universe. I'm not religious. I was raised Catholic, but like I'm no longer religious. But in that moment, I was just like, thank you, universe. Like, this is what I needed to like feel the goodness of people in this country. So that was really beautiful. And then I remember like I think I owed her probably like 12 euro, and she like gave me the bill and said it was like five, and I was €5 for everything. And I was like, no, no, no. And she was like, yes. And I was like, damn, okay, like this lady like really saw through me, and I guess like me crying alone didn't help. But that was just a story about like my first months here in the country, and just like remembering this story and like how far I have come is such a beautiful thing. I have seen like memes online that say like remember like old you like wanted to be where you're at right now like so bad. And like sometimes I have to remember that, right? Like I think we're all like, or at least I am like the personality that I am always looking for like the next challenge, the next thing. Like I'm never satisfied. I mean, not to say that I'm never satisfied, but like I'm always just like, what's next? Like, what can I do better? Like, oh, I achieved this. Like, what's the next step? And I think it's so important sometimes to look back and like reflect and be like, damn, like you've come far, girl. Like you've done good. So yeah, talking about like the highs and lows of immigrant life, I would say like if we want to start with the good stuff, travel has been amazing. I didn't grow up going on vacations, and I always thought actually growing up in a humble household in South Texas that travel, especially in Europe, was something like reserved for the rich, and that maybe one day I will be that rich girl in the US and like be able to like jet set and travel Europe. I had no idea that I'd be traveling Europe like throughout my early 20s until now, and the world. And I think that is something so cool. And not to say that it doesn't cost anything, but it's very affordable compared to travel in the US. There's so many beautiful countries like neighboring us here in Munich. and like delicious food in the north of Italy, or you have Switzerland as well. You have Austria, like you have the German Alps an hour from Munich. Like there's just so many opportunities for travel that like don't completely break the bank. And I think that's something so cool and something that I'm appreciative of. Career growth has been very cool also. Having studied at a German university, and being able to jump into full-time corporate working life. I currently work as a marketing and communications manager, that, yeah, at a sustainability company that I really enjoy. I think the field of communications is something actually that I didn't study at university. It's something that I've learned through my past and current position, and something that I've like learned to deeply love. I think I'm a yapper at heart, and yeah, communications is definitely the place to be for that. But also, I think another benefit of having moved abroad was having, yeah, independence, and really understanding myself and like who I am, what I want from my different chapters of life better. I was really, yeah, on my own in that sense. And building community wasn't necessarily easy. So on the topic of, yeah, like struggles, then I would say not having family here is hard. Um, I have had people tell me like, oh, but I could never move abroad because like I love my family too much. And I'm just like, as if I don't love mine. Like, it's not easy. Like going back and seeing that you've missed like important moments in your family members' lives, or that you don't get to have Sunday dinners with them. I think these are the trade-offs of all immigrants who choose to stay in a country because they think that they have more opportunities, whether it be financially or something more luxury like travel in that sense. Um, Making new friends wasn't always easy in my master's program. I was super fortunate to have made beautiful friends from it, because of course you're sitting next to one another every day. You get to know these people, and like you have this shared program where like you have similar values in the sense of like wanting to save the world, because we all worked in sustainability, and do our part. So that was very cool. But after my master's program, mostly all of my close friends had left back to their respective countries, and I chose to stay. And that was also very hard. I just remember thinking like, am I dumb for having stayed? And it made me realize like a city is only what you make of it. It's only like, it's the village that you've cultivated around you. And suddenly like my village members were gone. And Munich felt extremely like lonely, and I felt so isolated. I remember it was very hard for me to build up yeah, community again. And now looking back, that was like in 2018, 2019. And I'm super fortunate now today, like to have met all the people in the last like 5 years or so that I have, and to share them with you here on this podcast, because I remember what it was like to not have friends, and like that feeling. I just felt so sorry for myself, yet like I wasn't being like wildly proactive about it. Friendship can't be forced, right? It's something that comes with time and a lot of luck in this town as well. So I'll never forget what it was like to not have them. And therefore, I'm very grateful for all the friends that I have made. And yeah, I think another struggle for me personally, also like choosing to stay in Munich and in Germany, has been just like the small cultural differences on a day to day. I mean, for the most part, I'm used to life in Germany. I mean, come on, it's been over 8 years. But there are just some aspects of like grumpy people in Munich that just piss me off sometimes. Like I can just be in such a good mood, And then someone at Rewe, the grocery store, just like says something mean to me or just like acts a certain way and I get ticked off and I'm just like, like why are people not nice here? Um I would say like, yeah, these experiences in Munich are kind of common. Um and yeah, on those days I'm just like reminded, I'm like, oh, like I miss my people. Like I miss the friendliness of strangers in Texas. Like just like the warmth of my culture. I grew up, yeah, near Mexico. Like, all of my great grandparents were from Mexico. Um, and yeah, my last name is De Los Santos. So that's my heritage. And with that beautiful culture comes like the warm people. And that's something that I think I took for granted growing up in the environment. Uh, I'm never gonna forget telling my mom once, like, I think I was in middle school or high school, but I told her, like, I'm sick of Mexican food. Like, all we eat is like rice and beans every day. Like, I'm sick of this. I was like yelling at her. And she told me, like, you're going to regret saying that one day. And I said, no, I'm not. And during the pandemic, I called her crying my eyes out one day, like, because I really, really missed my culture, my people, and our food. And I told her like, Mom, like the day has come. Like I'm so so sorry. Um yeah, so it's all like when you put it like into perspective like that, yeah, it's hard leaving a warm culture to come to a place where like people necessarily aren't the same. At the same time, I recently, like, I think like last week I listened to a podcast. It's called like What Now with Trevor Noah. I am a loyal listener. And they had an episode where Christiana, his co-host, was saying, so many people love to complain, like saying, like, I don't have a village around me. Like, oh my gosh, like where is community nowadays? But she said, like, but have you ever asked yourself, like, what are you doing as a village member? And I was like, damn, girl. I've never really asked that. Like I do love to complain and say like, "Oh man, like people aren't that friendly." But like am I being a very good village member? Am I cultivating community around me? Like am I being a good neighbor? Um yeah, so maybe like it made me reflect on my own actions and um I will say like the people that I have met along the way have been and chosen to cultivate friendships with, I mean, are just like so 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 special. I try not to let the random people in day to day yeah experiences get to me. Though yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Um yeah, and on a topic like a little short story of cultural differences, I'll never forget. It was my first working student position. I used to work at Allianz, which is an insurance company here in Munich. And a working student is like I worked 20 hours a week throughout my master's program, like after the first semester for I think like a year and a half. And it was my birthday coming up. And I'll never forget that one of my colleagues told me like, hey, like, no. It was my boss. My boss came up to me who like I rarely spoke to. I think he had just like exchanged very few words to me once. And he came up to me and he said, Paulina, like it's your birthday next week. Like, we're excited. Like bring us a cake. And I laughed. I was like, oh, nice one. And then I went back to my desk and my colleague told me like, no, Paulina, like he was serious. Like you need to bring a cake. And I was like, oh, okay. So what did I do? I went back to my little dorm in Freising. I got all the ingredients the next week. The night before my birthday, where I was going to work the next day, I bake a little, like well, it wasn't little, it was like a proper size, like vegan cheesecake with a raspberry sauce over top. Super decadent, delicious, like with a cashew base. Take it into the office the next day. Everyone enjoys it. Luckily, my boss, like who had requested a dessert on my birthday, like had good things to say. But I'll never forget someone told me to my face right after eating the whole slice. They said like, "Oh, like thanks for bringing this in, but it was too sweet." And I was just like, "What?" Like in that moment, I felt like you had literally like killed my firstborn child. Um no, that's dramatic. I just remember being like, "You've got to be kidding me. Like it was free. Why are you like beggars can't be choosers? Like why are you being so mean to me?" Um I don't know what I said in that moment. I was just like, "Oh, haha, haha." But it really hurt me. And that was just a moment that I'll never forget of like cultural differences from like having to bring in your own piece of cake and or cake itself and then someone complaining about it. I just like could not understand that because in the US, well at least no. I keep saying in the US, man, like I need to change how I speak in Texas because I've never lived in any other state. It's pretty common on your birthday, like to be treated. Like your company will be like, "Oh, like happy birthday, Paulina. Here's a cake," or like we're gonna take you out to lunch, or we all pitched in for a tiny little gift, like whatever it may be. Um, so that was just like a first moment of like, oh my gosh, like, and that was the first time that I was actually like interacting with a ton of Germans because the office that I was in was the team that I was on was like it was a complete German team and I was the only international person there like proofreading a lot of presentations. Um so that was just like damn. Wow. Okay, the Germans are direct. But like did you have to say it like that? Um just cultural differences, right? Yeah, crazy times. But now I come equipped. If I'm ever working on my birthday, I'm bringing desserts, and that's just how it is. And I respect that part of the culture. It's different, um, but I'm integrating, right? I want to transition into another segment of talking about a trip that I've done before because throughout this podcast we'll share some stories, some travel stories around like visiting different countries. And I thought like what could I share with y'all today that would like give you an idea of who I am as a traveler or like as a person. And the first trip that came to mind was going to Armenia in 2018 because it was one of the most incredible trips of my life. Um but I will have to say like whew, poor decisions were made. So the year was 2018. I think it was in the fall. I had just finished like a full-time internship and I was kind of like in between an internship and starting my master's thesis. And I think like I kind of like killed 3 months of not starting my thesis yet. Like I hadn't registered. So at the time I wanted to go on a little adventure. And I was on Facebook and like in some random Facebook group and I saw we're looking for 3 more people from Germany to go to Armenia like in 2 weeks. Like, hurry, like the slots are closing soon. And I messaged the guy and I was like, "Hey, like what's this all about?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's called Erasmus Plus." So for those who traditionally know like what Erasmus is traditionally, it's like the form of like an exchange within Europe. Like typically over a semester, but Erasmus Plus are kind of short little excursions. They can be like a week, 2 weeks. And it's like funded by the European Union with the purpose of kind of educating youth, I think from like the age of 30 or younger. And so anyway, back on the topic, I'm on a Facebook group. I'm messaging this guy, Arson, and I was like, "Hey, like, I'm interested. Like, what does it entail?" He's like, "Okay, you're interested. Great. Like, buy your ticket fast. Like, buy your flight now." And I was like, "Do you guys have a website?" And he was like, "No, like we don't." And I was like, "Okay." Like he sent me some PDF, like that was 2 pages, like with a very, very simple design. I was like, He's like, "Yeah, like don't worry, we'll reimburse you for the flight. Like just buy your ticket fast. Cause like we don't want the tickets to get more expensive and we can only reimburse you up to whatever, €300. And I was like, "Okay." So there I was, like with my pennies, like that I had saved up and I bought a flight to Armenia. And little did I know, I mean, it wasn't the smartest because the flights all arrived at I think like 1 a.m. in Yerevan. And then he said like, "Oh, don't worry, like we'll like hire a van to like take you guys to the city." the little program was gonna happen. And the program was called Old Crafts in Young Hands. And it was just the coolest. Anyway, I tell my mom like that I'm going to Armenia. And she was like, "What? Like you're going where?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to Armenia. Like I have it down. Like I'm doing this Erasmus program." I don't know if I like told her the extent of it. I don't even know if I knew the extent of it. I don't even think I was afraid, which is kind of funny. I think I like kind of second thought of like, like could I get kidnapped? Like I think it'll be fine. And in the end, like I went and we all like me and like some Italians, some Ukrainians, and I don't know. I think it was some French people. We all arrive at the airport and it's like 1 a.m. and like sure enough, we get into a van and drive like I think like an hour and a half to our location that we arrived like at 2:30 in the morning. Long story short, everything was legit. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. It was ran by Armenians that were very passionate about showing their culture. I also met like some incredible people from Georgia, and it's just a trip I'll never forget. And on our last day of like reflecting, because I think it was like a whole 2-week program, they were like, "Okay, like so like let's share our experience. Like what did you think about this, Paulina?" And like I told the whole circle around me of like 20 people. I was like, "Yeah, like I've had like the best 2 weeks of my life, but like not gonna lie, like I thought I could have been kidnapped." And then everyone burst out laughing and they were like, "Me too." So at least like I wasn't alone with that. And in the end it was legit. And like the organizers were like, "Oh, like we just like don't have funds for a website." And I was like, "Oh, like okay, I can see that. I can see that." But it comes to show like maybe like I don't know, like there is like good in people. Like it's not like everything is a total scam. So just a funny story of like how I don't know, adventurous I was at the time. I feel like man, like 29-year-old Paulina, I think that was like 6 years ago. I cannot fathom that I did that. I would never ever like buy a flight arriving in the middle of the night to a country I've never been, like to meet these people I've never met. I just think that's like wild. But here I am to tell a story, and I could definitely recommend visiting Armenia and putting that on your travel list. The people were so warm, the food was delicious, and pomegranate wine was, yeah, absolutely tasty. So I want to finish off this episode with why the pod abroad. Just for some backstory on why I started this. I think the last few years, maybe like starting in 2020 or 2021, I started posting on TikTok. I have a TikTok called like at Stories from Abroad. And there I just kind of like off the whim would share cultural differences between my life in Texas and my life in Germany. And through that, I gained like a small following, and I think people were pretty interested in hearing that. One thing though is that I honestly like kind of got sick of short form content, of having to like be so markety and like get your point across so quick within a snappy like whatever 30-second video, 1-minute video. And I got fatigued, and I was just kind of over it and wanted a space where I could just kind of speak on topics at my own pace, get to say like every juicy detail that I want to, and be able to slow down a little and just, yeah, share these stories at a more organic pace. So that's kind of what brought me to, yeah, starting this whole podcast, the Pod Abroad. That, and I will say I have an incredible boyfriend behind the camera here who does post-production work for his full-time job, and who I have taken hostage and am enforcing forced labor on. No, but he's full of love and has helped me create this actually little studio in our office inside of our home here in Munich, where we're based. So that has been such a blast, like kind of creating this and like seeing like what we want lighting wise, and like I bought some new pillows and things like that. So it's been a lot of fun starting this in our little home. So yeah, if you're here to hear the conversations of several different immigrants here in Germany, some in other countries as well, then stick along. And if you have any suggestions, then please feel free to leave them in the comments. I would love to hear that. And if you think I'm talking complete bullshit and you have another view on something and you're like, oh my gosh, like Paulina, I totally disagree, let me know too. Let's chat about it in the comments. But yeah, thanks so much for listening to this episode. I'm super, super excited to kick off the Pod Abroad, and I will see you next week. Thanks a lot. The Pod Abroad's video, audio, and music is produced and edited by Tim Teherne. Make sure to give us a follow and leave a comment if you like this episode.